I said, I've come to the right place. You kindly prepare a cost-benefit analysis of Theory. I give you all the materials. And you do it according to your method, economics method. I won't interfere. And INTAC, which is still a leading environmental group, a government organization, published those NAVDA cost-benefit studies and the Theory. They are published studies by INTACH, Indian National Council for Cultural Heritage. With activism, there is no this thing is yours, this thing is mine. There's no such, no meum and diem. It's everybody's. You have to work with everybody. So we did work. So we used the framing concept, we used the cost-benefit analysis, we used multiple specialities, and many people have done that. We also did environmental law from below. It's very important, the movements are as important as EPA from above. In fact, you study EPA as a response to what activists asked for in India or in America, and what they got and what they did with it. EPA is very significant, although no prosecution has occurred. It was Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi who, for the first time, enumerated, knowing it, a theory of legislation, which then came into Bonded Labour Act and Contract Labour Act. What was the theory? He said, or his people said, in the government, normally bureaucracy is protected. Under the EPA Section 35, I don't know whether you noticed or thereabout, a head of a bureau is bound by the statutory duties under Environmental Protection Act, and if he or she fails to perform that, a criminal charge could be laid against the person. The extent of normative change. The decolonizing, normally it's color of affairs, you are excused, normally bureaucrats have impunity, of course, whatever they do. This is the reverse. So, I don't go eloquent about it, but essentially what environmental law did in addition to this, and does very well, and we'll study some of it in the NGT tomorrow, National Clean Tribunal, was to generate new human rights. There is the whole right to breathe campaign. Where does it come from? The page of in Delhi is per person within 400%, a certain part of Delhi, where I live. You can't breathe. There is a right to breathe movement. It's not written in your constitution. It's not a human rights standard. It has come out from the people. And eventually trouble. The Supreme Court has accepted right to breathe in the Article 21. And some people quibble. It's the function of the Supreme Court. I don't care. I want a public decision which protects my right to breathe. That's how I begin to live. If you take away my air, if you pollute the air, if you choke me to death by carbon, I'm nowhere. I die. So it is an integral part of right to life, and the court is doing no wonders when it includes it in 21. Now, lawyers among you might cavil about this and that. I'm not bothered. I'm concerned with the outcome and the reasoning in the judgment. If I have a right to life, I have a right to breathe. There can't be life without breath. So, in a sense, Supreme Court appears almost, not just in environmental law, the Indian Supreme Court appears itself as a social movement. It doesn't act in response to social movements. It used to. It is now itself. Take, for example, decision, hair-brained decision, I disagree with it, but forget my disagreement. Interlinking of rivers. It is pursuing it. That there should be a garland of rivers in India. It is pursuing maritime transportation to reduce vehicular pollution. Maritime transportation, Minister of Union Minister, ever since I was this high, concerned with transport. And he sanctions more and more cars. And now metro trains from Korea. The Supreme Court is saying you must develop inland and maritime transportation. There are two views, pollute more, but Green Tribunal said no car will be registered if it is 15 years old. Idea is to decarbonize India. How to do it? The GNT decisions are major decisions in India to study the rationality, the discussion about GNT and so on. I can't go on. I should not go on. So, theory of environmental justice has many aspects. Do you junk it when you think of the Anthropocene? Or do you maintain, take some things out of it and renovate it to meet the demands and the disasters of Anthropocene? That's the question. You have a choice. I think, person is being, very sorry Jagdishwar, I think if you are going to meet Anthropocene challenges, you must junk the present day environmental law altogether. You might disagree. Because then you can't teach IEL. One of the reasons. But you can teach Anthropocene justice. I mean, teacher is never surplus in this great institution. Not so. Teachers are always good. So beyond that, you might genuinely disagree, and you might be of the view that IEL should continue to guide the Anthropocene, anti-Anthropocene movement. There are two views, and both are possible. But if you mean by IEL sustainable development, precautionary principle, certainly we can't afford it. In PSNR, we can't afford it, permanent sovereignty of natural resources. The matter is over. You can't fight Anthropocene. It's an international problem. It's not a problem of one nationality or one nation or one group of nations. It is a universal problem. How do you deal with it? But what we can take away is from an IEL for Anthropocene. That's the question. There are also my views. Then you come to, finally, are there any comments or questions on this IEL? Theories of environmental justice, some would say are useful, I say junk them. That's where the issue is. How do some say renovate it, recraft it, retool it, reimagine it in the Anthropocene? And they may be this one way. Others to start afresh. Resolutely facing his question, is it possible to start afresh? Maybe there are two ways. But global justice came very late, in late Holocene. I taught several courses in Warwick on global justice. I used to start my course by saying, forgive you me, this is a new area for me, but there are 5.5 people in the world, that was 95, who have worked in the area of theories of global justice. 5 are established thinkers like Rawls and Pogge and other people. No, Pogge has not worked, but there were 4 or 5 names. They said, what is that half doing there? And that half is me. At that time, in English-speaking world in 1995, there were only 5.5 thinkers. I did other things also, so I counted myself. Although I've written on global justice theory and Rawls in particular, it's in my website. But I have not counted myself as global justice theory. Now, what does global justice theories do? Theories of global justice have born, and they apply to a large number of things. They apply to state succession, they apply to environment, they apply to human rights, they apply to Anthropocene somewhat, speak marginally about it. They apply to concepts of freedom, of representation and so on. So what does it mean? It's a very vast field, but I'll cover it in the next 10 minutes and then have a discussion. The emphasis has shifted already in very late Holocene, 2000 something. Or unless you mark the start of Anthropocene at 1950, then my schema is not that rather late in Anthropocene. It depends on how you proceed. But if it was late Holocene, it made a fundamental new beginning. It said, we are not going to discuss international justice, namely justice among states. We are going to discuss global justice. Now that's a different concept altogether. We are not talking of international law or principles of justice. We're talking about something else. And international justice comes in law of peoples according to laws, global justice. Among justice values that international global justice pursues are, for example, legal regulation of armed conflict, just basis for cooperation and so on, a number of principles. Human rights, the aspect of global justice. It is going beyond the community of states. It does take into account international law, but it speaks to the world at large as how it should be. And there are two kinds of theories, to hurry a bit. There are two kinds of theories, or maybe say I can name. One is utilitarian theories of global justice. And when I say utilitarian, very often people say I'm sounding as if I'm talking about utilitarian. I'm not talking about utilitarian, although I sound that way. I'm talking about utilitarian theory of justice. And what do utilitarians say in global justice? They say globe should be so arranged as to maximize the preferences of the people. That's the basic idea of maximize utility. The whole cost-benefit analysis, rational choice analysis, all that follows. The other is deontological theories of global justice. Deontology means theory of good. Good should prevail over that. Good should define what is right, course of action. So you must have a theory of the good. And that's an overriding theory that compels that your duty is under the theory of good. And you cannot compromise, you cannot bargain, you can't trade off. If there is a deontological theory of human dignity, then human dignity is the basic norm from which you can't depart, even if, as Mr. Trump says, torture works beautifully. That's a utilitarian argument. Torture works sometimes. Who will deny that? But does it justify torture? The utilitarian would say, when it works, to that extent, torture is good. Jeremy Bentham's 17th century piece was discovered by William Twining on torture, and he was utilitarian, and he has done a utilitarian analysis. How to maximize gains from torture? And Bentham proposed an idea which is picked up by the United States now, not knowing it's Bentham's idea, but it doesn't matter, that you should regularize, bureaucratize, and monitor torture. So there will be a committee of experts, a bishop, a sociologist, a lawyer, a human rights lawyer, 5 people will decide whether to torture this person or not. And you can appeal against that decision, if you feel like, to a higher tribunal in which there will be judges involved. So Bentham was for legalization of some acts of torture. And his classic example in late 17th century, Christian era, was, in Canada, his basic argument for bureaucratization of torture, setting up a torture tribunal, was that sometimes if you take a hospital which is surrounded by terrorists, they're going to, you know they're going to blow it up in next 30 minutes. You're 30 minutes ticking from now, and you suspect excess information about the bomb going off, and X is unlikely to say anything within those 30 minutes. Would that count as an extreme moral circumstance? One person against 20,000 people. Otherwise the bomb will go off. Ticking bomb is called, ticking bomb scenario. And Bentham said, yes. Of course, that time there was no internet. Now you can summon ethics committee on torture by internet, by email. You can converse on telephone, cell phone. They do it for kidney transplant. Kidney transplant, ethics committee, it never meets in person, a body. It is always on hold because kidneys cannot survive more than 6 hours. Due to transplant, there's great demand. And Rani Jetpali, my friend whom I lost a few years ago, she survived for a decade because of this kidney transplant. She was in St. John's Hospital, which I visited while she was there every day from Leamington. And lo and behold, she kept what? We got a kidney for her. Although she was not in the list being an Indian, and somebody in Edinburgh was on the list. The ethics committee said this Christmas time, head-on collisions are great, and there was kidney racket market. Anyway, kidney was in London. To fly to Scotland and to put the interior of Scotland, it would take him 4 or 5 hours. And maybe the kid organ would have gone waste. So they met over internet or cell phones, and they said St. John's Hospital, if it's a patient, it should use it. And that's how Rani got the kidney. Now you can have a portion of kidney and your kidney can grow. You don't have to transfer the whole kidney. The medical science advanced. Anyway, so there is circumstances of justice. So theories of global justice always tell you of 2 things that we use, roles and concept, the circumstances and tasks of justice. I think categories are important. Circumstances of justice. Was giving kidney to Rani justified? Was ethics committee right in giving it to St. John's Hospital? Would it not given to some other infirmary in the city of London? These are questions that one must ask. But basically, that's not my point. My point is the committee was not summoned to meet and decide. Because of urgency, they were reached on the modern gadgets. And the committee spoke with each other and made a swift decision. Climate change is such a scenario, actually, in my opinion. It's like kidney transplant. You have to decide which way to go in a short time on climate refugees. You can't take a long time in consultation with nations and peoples and all. Anyway, so the deontologists say core justice is few values, one or two or three. Don't torture. Put cruelty first. That's all there is to human life. No cruelty to anyone, to animals, to human beings, to transhuman beings. No cruelty. Put cruelty first. Or some people say put dignity first. Some people say put vulnerability above all. You have to pick, but basic ideas are very few. You can't have human rights to everybody. They are included. Put vulnerability first. Your disabled are included, your women are included. You don't have to have a separate treaty, or it's a matter of law. But for ethicist, deontological ethics person, you have to find the first principles, which are not then negotiable. That's deontology. And Rawls was a deontological thinker. There is no way you can do a thing contrary to the first principles. Nothing justifies it. Utilitarian would say something else, like Bentham. Torture is a function, like Trump. So, as a professor at Harvard, wrote several books. He's a very lovely man, very able and very bright person, Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz, on the subject of torture. And he researched Bentham and was writing after Guantanamo Bay, in the middle of that controversy. And if you have any idea what Guantanamo Bay was, it was unsustainable torture. Unsustainable torture. And he said, not with much reference to Bentham, but he said legalized torture for terrorists. And he gave justifications for it. It's the same argument. It's a utilitarian position. Deontologists would never say, if I put it first, no matter the world ends, you cannot torture. It's an overriding duty, moral duty, is positive. So no consequences are not material to that purpose. It's much more. New terrorists who blow up a hospital is too bad, but you won't torture the terrorist suspect. Because why? Put cruelty first. There should be no cruelty on principle. It's a deontology. Similarly, there are liberal theories of rights, Republican theories of rights, feminist theories of rights. And much depends on whether deontological theory or whether utilitarian theory. Because there's a big difference. And the third kind of theory, besides ontological and utilitarian, is called cosmopolitan theory of global justice. The cosmopolitans all come in various shapes and sizes, but essentially they say, good cosmopolitans anyway say, that you cannot run a society, international society of peoples. It cannot be the principle of justice to discriminate between citizens and non-citizens, nationals and non-nationals. Why? The fact that you are born in the United States and you consume 3.5 times more electricity, power, anything you name, it's a privileged society, and you are born there, so you born into that, so you feel entitled to it. They said birth is an accident. So by birth you cannot claim resources of the world, of the region. Saudi Arabia has oil. Iraq had oil. You cannot claim quite none. You cannot claim all the oil because you are a Saudi or you are Iraqi. And the only time international law has yielded to this kind of demand is in the law of the sea, which has said the landlocked states have a right to import and export through the coastline states. So what would landlocked state do? A landlocked state cannot export or import because it is a land border. So there's only one exception I know, that justice exception, made in the law of the Sea Convention or any convention. So cosmopolitans say birth is an accident. It cannot determine your citizenship. It cannot determine your rights. It's a feudal, some of them go so far as to say citizenship is a feudal concept. We are all citizens of the world. That's the cosmopolitan idea, although there is no world government. If you learn to be a good citizen of the world, and that's the concept here of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, old idea, very old of Rigveda. But you'll find it in all religious traditions, that you are by birth a citizen of the world. And you are not by birth a citizen, you might be by birth also Saudi Arabian or Nigerian or American or Indian, doesn't matter. But that comes second. And that identity will not allow you to consume resources of the earth just because you happen to be born there. It's completely arbitrary, it's not your hand, you can't decide. Excepting, I don't know, the good Hindus decide. If you do good karmas, you're born in America. If you do good karma, to each according to his karma, is the message of justice from Hindu. If somebody is untouchable, it's because he has done bad karma, as you see. The question is, for 5,000 years or more, you always been untouchable. You've done such bad karma. Our imagination begins to crackle sometimes. A good faculty, but you are overstretched. How long? If you're a woman, you'll be treated differently than men for thousands of years without a thought. Why? So questions of justice arise. The cosmopolitans take a fairly radical view. They said citizenship is morally arbitrary, it's a matter of luck, and it can't be the basis of resource allocation, distribution, or consumption, or management. There need not be about government. Your national government, these are bad now. They are tyrannical. They do what they like. After all, you've seen Arab Spring, I was not prepared. I followed Arab Spring from a hospital bed, whatever I could follow. And I found the protest very encouraging, but I was not prepared to know that there was an emergency regime for 32 years in Egypt. We shiver and shudder to think of that little emergency we had in 1975-76. There is still an emergency regime in martial law in Egypt after the Arab Spring. So some governments tend to be very tyrannical, very despotic, very unconstitutional dictatorship, very anti-rule of law, anti-people. So we, cosmopolitans say, our governments are bad enough, we don't want a world government. Supposing we have a world government whose head is somebody, you can fill in as you like, whose head is a dictator, then the whole world has to obey or to resist. It's changed. So they don't want a world government, but they have world governance. And therefore many people have suggested, for example, a Tobin tax. A Tobin tax is a tax over the foreign exchange transaction. Billions every day throughout the world. And you collect the revenues from this, UN collects the revenue, they worked out a whole scheme. There was a bill in the American House of Commons on Tobin tax, 5 bills as a matter of fact, all of them lapsed. Or Maja tax, to feminize this, somebody proposed a Maja tax on consumption. half a person, 20 cents, 30 cents, waiting in a restaurant, or going to make and having a burger. You just count the money. And nobody will mind, even notice it. So there have been a number of tax proposals, out of which Thomas Pogge has worked out a whole logic, moral logic of taxing these transactions, and saying he has proposed Charles Bates, a great student of Rawls, was the first, and then Pogge was also a student of Rawls, and many others have said the world has no shortage of money and no shortage of people who will gladly pay. You can devise principles and schemes which you can administer, and out of that you can give the right to health, all the human rights to the poor, to the impoverished. These good ideas of justice, have come into the Kyoto Protocol by a climate fund. Kyoto Protocol climate fund, where the northern people will contribute, states, to southern government. And climate fund is also a variety of mechanisms under the Paris Agreement, which will take some time to appear. Although there is no common and differentiated responsibility principle, there is climate finance, not fund, climate finance, to assist countries to change the lifestyle of its people. Even America can get a portion of that fund when it embarks on climate change. So there are basically three ideas, three approaches to justice. Again, the same question. Are they, oh my goodness, I stop, and we take over. Are they to be renovated, extended, recrafted, and put to use in the Anthropocene? Either of the three approaches. Or do we need a new climate justice theory? And because I'm short of time, if I have time, I'll take it tomorrow a little bit. I would give you my conclusion that we must junk these theories. They were conceived before climate change set in. And you must have a new theory of climate justice, which the article is all about, in the Journal of Human Rights and Environment. And I've analyzed particularly a very good book by Linklater, Professor Linklater. I don't know him, but he has written a lovely book. And another Professor, Simon Kenny, on justice in the Anthropocene, distributive justice. So I want to bore you with that references and more references, but I sincerely say you need to think afresh on justice demands now. I don't think you can carry on theories of global justice, which has been, like Linklater, does carry on, extends global justice, I criticize that. He says the deontological principle should be do no harm. That will do. Do no harm to environment. Ahimsa, paramo dharma. Miccami dukkharam, for those who know generalism. I apologize for any mistake. There is a special day where you are supposed to say Miccami dukkharam. I forgive you your sins. I forgive you, please. In my case, they will say Miccami dukkharam every minute. And still my sins will not be forgiven. I'm many. But the climate sins I'm talking. So Linklater goes into, he develops a very good thesis, Latin principle, Roman law principle, is non-nocere, that's the principle, non-nocere, do no harm. And he goes through multinationals who cause anthropogenic harm. and he goes to international organizations who call anthropomorphic harm. So he has a nice tableau, goes around the world and gives reasons in support of the principle. Kindly do read it when you have time, or with a summary of it in my paper. I am attracted by it, but non-necessary does not deal with harms that have occurred in the past. That's the principle of the future, and I accept it. What do we do about historic injustices? Should the differentiation be pushed and protected and promoted as a matter of human rights, new human rights? These are some of the questions that I raised, and I will not go. I'll now end this peremptorily here, and whatever time you want to take by your comments, by your suggestions, by your thoughts, by your afterthoughts, or just by looking at me, which is not a very pleasant prospect, I assure you. So, leaving aside that option, other options are yours. Everything, sky is the limit. Now, anybody? Your time. And you will get all this when the internet comes out from Delhi. I'll send you the Teshwar and I will. Yes, please. Ma'am.
In all your sessions so far, we've discussed the limitations that the idea of nation-state or sovereignty plays upon a global problem such as climate change. The cosmopolitan understanding of the world seems to speak to that, at least in its disagreement with boundaries artificially constructed amongst people. So I was just wondering why you seek to jump to that as well. As you explained your problem with newspapers and his theological do no harm idea, but why not the cosmopolitan idea?
So your question is why sovereignty? No.
My question is, you said
door
and start fresh.
Oh, I
But
see.
I do think that there's something that
Linkages. Yes, there is a possibility that you can salvage, as feminists have done. The first generation of women who were feminists said, junk it. No dead white males. We'll do our own thinking of ourselves. DWM. No downward Aristotle, Plato, they're all misogynists. We have nothing to learn, Kant, co-opinion. We'll do feminist philosophy by showing to you how men have exploited us over the centuries. So I call it the massacre of ancestors. You start with the massacre of all that has gone before. And there's a purpose, because our minds are filled with all that junk. I always used to ask my students at Warwick, also I think at Delhi, I used to ask, who thinks inside your mind when you say you think? And women, I learned it from the first feminists, they refuse to cite Aristotle, Plato, Mill, they're all male chauvinist pigs. That's why the world arose. And they did dazzling philosophy at that time. Later on, and I have many hard-boiled feminist friends, and I asked them, I said, this is extreme. And if you Kant or Kant wrote things that you would not write in Nalsa. It's very embarrassing. And geography is very bad. He wrote a whole book on geography. He was very racist and colonial. Nobody mentions it. So did Hegel. So these people wrote some strange things also. But to junk them all, I said, there is another way. There is Massacre of Ancestors. Is one way of dealing with the problem. The other way is to say, we shall not worship the ancestor. We should avoid ancestor worship, which is different from massacring them, calling them dead white men. And now there are books appearing, I'm very pleased. Feminists read Immanuel Kant. Feminists read Hegel. Feminists read Aristotle. And we know what he did with Xantippe. His wife. No, Socrates. Feminist is Plato. We know what he did with Xantippe. So, they know, I know, everybody knows. But now books are appearing which feminism has come of an age. It has cleared the ground. It can now look at the so-called classic feminists read Mill. There are books of essays. I read all 7 of them. Feminist reinterpretation of their theories. This is not ancestor massacre, no ancestor worship. And it's a great contribution. When you read them, it's a sheer pleasure to see Mill being whipped up, but also something in Mill being saved. So I say that is one way out, epistemic way out, which is say don't worship the dead white maids or dead maids everywhere. In Manu or Kautilya or whoever you have. Other is to say adapt and adopt them. What is there, take away, what takeaway exists. So you don't jump them. Now I'm saying, and maybe I'm totally wrong, I'm saying the first wave of feminists, flush them out. Because Aristotle sits here, Hegel sits here, and I think he does the thinking for me. I believe in intellectual decolonization, as I said in the morning. As Swaraj in thought, in the art of thinking. And it's not possible if you all the time follow these holy trinities of Western thought. You can't do it. So I say, I probably learned this from feminism. If we have 2 or 3 generations left to this planet, that's questionable. But there is urgency in, first of all, doing away with all prior approach, wiping the slate clean, and doing your own bit by way of theory.
So is this a strategy?
Pardon me?
Is this some kind of a strategy that you're looking for?
No, I genuinely, for feminism it was not a strategy, it just so happened. For feminism it was not a strategy.
No, I'm saying for you, are you
for
proposing
me,
this as strategy or are you proposing this on principle?
no, I'm proposing conceptually. Because these people lived in a different era of colonialism, of empire, of industrial revolution, of industrial capitalism. So these philosophers, after all, are born and work in that particular format, where they had not even heard of anthropology. So they come up with things like, following them, people come with things like permanent sovereignty over natural resources, self-determination, or sustainable development. You come up with wrong idea. I say if you just, for the time being, clear your head of everything, there is a new phenomenon. Let us try. Let us try. What do we come up with? Big discussion on justice starts always with Aristotle. And I'll tell you, as a student, the first student I'd come to Delhi, but I used to go to Sydney, I still go. And there was a new law school, New South Wales University there. Julius Stone was teaching there, and he said, why don't you take this course on justice? I said, I can't take a course, but see what happens. So now it is Sydney, and we talked with a swarthy young man who was an Aborigine, Australian Aborigine. He put his feet on the desk, a seminar room, and eating a sandwich, and all the things, cheese melted on his beard. I didn't say anything. I found it a bit weird, but I had no culture shock, because I tried to do even funnier things. I'm not looking at anybody here. So I had experience of being exposed to all kinds of things. So I started, as Julius has told me, to speak with you, and I talk about justice. I don't know where to begin, but tradition has it, you can start with Aristotle. There is commutative justice, retributive justice, commutative penal, restitutive justice. There is a neat classification of 4 or 5 types of justice. This man has sandwich in his mouth. He said, wait, Professor! By the time waiting, finished the sandwich. He said, yes, I did. It took him full 5 minutes to finish his glass of sandwich. And then he said, he wiped his thing with a bandana, and he said, what the hell are you talking about? And I said, why? Isn't this fellow Aristotle? This is what? This fellow Aristotle, this chap. I learned from him. I always call him chap. Mill, Aristotle. I'm a learning being. And you didn't learn. So he said, didn't this chap justify slavery? And sure enough, in Nicomachean Ethics, there is a chapter on slavery. And he said, I said, yes, he did, but he was a child of his own time. Instead of killing the prisoners of war, he said, take them as slaves, and other things like that. But penny dropped in me immediately. So I said, sir, you're absolutely right, but that's the conventional way. He said, you have anything to learn from this chap who justifies slavery? I said, you have nothing to learn. So the class is over. It's hardly 7 minutes. But I said, seminar begins. Now, seminar is a Greek word, symposium. Symposium means the Greek word which stands for drinking together. It was 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And we all said, I said, I'm going to pub, those who want to follow me. They all took follow me. I gave beer, Australia, everybody drinks beer. So we had up to 6 o'clock a seminar on why Aristotle should ever be taught in the context of justice. So in my teaching experience, the idea of junking, I mean, it's a very important thing to say, but he did also justify slavery morally. I mean, it's not strategy or any morally. It's a good thing. And he's translated a saying so in his book on ethics. And this Aborigine, he was the first generation learner. Nobody in his clan had ever gone to university. And this was the first lawyer in New South Wales, who was an Aborigine. But here's the point. Jump this swine. He didn't say to my pastor, if you want to be more colorful, jump this bastard. Jump him and see what you come up with. If you don't come with verse wise up, then go back. They are always there. You can go back to Mill, Aristotle, Rawls, anybody. So that's the semblance. I don't know whether it is satisfactory, but my experience tells me sometimes Anthropocene is one context, so-called post-colonialism was another context. Who would have jumped if you did not transit neocolonialism? But anyway, that's my approached by an actor. If you were an Aboriginal in Australia, why should you worry about it? It's okay. They should never worry about it. If you are fifth or sixth scheduled people, if you are untouchable, why learn the high caste? High caste have put you there. Permanently untouchable. What are you going to learn from him, accepting some kind of obedience to the justified untouchability? In the days of Manu. What are you going to learn from this people? Anthropocene poses this question for the world as a whole. And all this will be junk, this furniture. You heard of the phrase, it's a very difficult and sad phrase, but it actually describes what happened. People were rearranging their decks on the Titanic. The Titanic was sinking. You're pulling chairs, the chair should be here, the chair should be there. They all went down. So why do you want to rearrange your deck by cellular walls and this floor and that floor? In their time they're good, but they did not know a damn thing about Anthropocene. What can they possibly tell us about a circumstance they do not even conceive of? That's the question. That's why they done. But maybe it is towards your point of view. Maybe you can, like Prime Minister, the whole mask card, maybe you can receive a retrieval wastes a lot of time. To retrieve nuggets of gold, to dig tons of trash. And I don't think we have that kind of time, luxury in Anthropocene. If you believe in the apocalyptic thing. Your own personal. Sorry. This was not a message to you, but carry on.
No, I was just wanting to possibly give another example, and I was taking it from disability, and especially the kind of dilemma that people with psychosocial disability are faced with, wherein your entire way of being and your condition is pathologized. The man in psychiatry is a certain kind of psychology looks that way. So there's a total negation of experience. And they can't see how you can speak in terms of your own voice and to say that your way of looking at the world or being in the world has an authenticity whilst engaging with psychiatry or with that entire body of thought, which kind of sees your way of being as only pathology. So I was just reminded of that.
Yeah.
So you put the thing as people, okay. And it becomes almost necessary then to say, you junk it all, you don't understand. I have lived it, and it's my, what my mind and what I experience is one good voice to me. And there's no way in which you can engage. That was the kind of sort of response which
I don't see, I will say the problem by begin. Mainly, why do I want to engage? Why do I engage with a word which has nothing, in it? Why do I engage with the enlightenment which resulted in justification of brutal violence and harm? They talk about freedom. Why do I engage with the so-called hard business law? When you actually commit an offense, Section 2 of Civil Rights Act says justification of untouchability or any ground is an offense. And every day they come down. Now if I'm untouchable, why should I engage them? I can fight them. I can de-legitimate them. I can do a number of other things. But I don't engage with them because their mind is made up. that human beings will start down to higher and lower, and the lower will never rise. Now, why they were doing this? Why? Because I'm going to get nothing out of it. So it's the same question.
Yes.
He was a method, I met her his name. I was fighting myself in Alexander on having something to do with my litigation. You know, there's a pill with side effect. And many people were born deformed, because the mother took it, and the case went to hospital and all that. I'm not on that. I went to a conference in Geneva. Somebody at the back of me was making a lot of noise, serious kind of noise. After that, it's not nice to listen to that. So I kept quiet and learned to my left ear had not gone up so well as the right. So I took my left ear and passed it to. Then I began to go and turned to her, and I said there was some uncanny sound. And I offered to take her name. And she was telling of my baby was born without sound. He got everything with the two feet. Writing, so she left a hole, she left a foot for me to say hello. You know what's the name? He must be old. But she was young at that time, she was hardly 20 years old. But she was born then when she...
She's now in the CRTD committee.
Okay, the name is very... Now, what has a disabled person to get out of this blasted system? What? You can call them Divya. What does it say? I'm there. There is some change, yes. We see some brands that in the whole lot. Some change in physical property and some change in state. But you had a person in jail and the High Court denied bail, who was, I was my colleague, whatever is whatever the court
and you say no torture and this is each torture.
in terms of the jail. How can the state, any state, feel vulnerable before a disabled person? How can any state or state symbol be insulted when I cannot stand when national anthem is sung? Why should the Supreme Court have to modify it to order? Why should we pass that kind of order? Why don't you
had a guy beaten up for it.
Yes, I know. Why did you have it in your first order? If you know that this is I mean, the first order I was wrong, that the foreign candidates are exempt. At the age of 60 or 62, you are a judge of the Supreme Court. You have met disabled people, there are people who have enough to come with a wheelchair, you must have seen them in India. And you are a Supreme Court judge, and you wait for a second or third petition on what you said, and you exempt this category, and that's now there is another judgment which says, well, if something represents the part of a movie, you don't think you said that. Nobody is in a film. Why not? Why not? Should it be a part of a movie? I mean, if I were a judge, that's what never is done. I would have asked myself, why didn't I think? Or should we use national anthem in song? Why not 20 you write them in national anthem, like that the government took a factor of the government, and everything is a baby. How can you commodify national anthem? I'm an activist. I will tell you that. So I think it's crazy. I support the Supreme Court of law. I tell myself to support the philosopher. That will work. But there are judgments which cannot be sustained. Because they are not judgments. You know what judgment is? Not anything and everything that a judge puts up as judgment is judgment. That's the first mistake to walk through everywhere. Judgment is a result of two factors. What are they? One is result, other is reasoning. All arguments, you need to pick up one argument or other. The judgment is reasoning plus reasoning. Now, reason goes this way, and reasoning goes this way, is the judgment. That's why I wrote for all that time is I think I am still awaiting the judgment in all that. Because first 20 pages you say I will have to censor out, maybe as a statement for that. And the last part I have to say international commission will do whatever it has. No judgment. And I just send it to Chief Justice and called me and he said, what are you writing about? I said, what is it all about? What I said. Very easy. So reasoning said I will write to censor. And result was first need to be told to RBC at the whim of the commissioner in Bombay, related Bombay. What is it? He said, correct. He said, correct. He said, correct. He said, correct. You are right. So I didn't say anything. I said, then I told his wife, who was a good friend, I thought up. And Prabha updated it. He said, because that is the judgment. But it's quite right, you know, he's present. Our major cities and Hindu law, there was a category of people with Nibandana, who wrote essays. So our judges sometimes write wrong essays. They are not, their main amount of their job is in judge. To give a final order of judgment which is the result and reasoning. They can't be given that to a judge. You have to take some position in the matter. One right or wrong should not decide. So being a judge makes it for him to decide. He is undecided. Most of the cases cannot be decided. Keshavanda was undecided. You can't decide the problem as it's wrong or not. Many examples. The judge has to decide the undecided. That's why you are a judge. So in a sense, it's good to know it. You say that not everything goes because they are processed. At the end of the day, you must deliver the result. And if you don't deliver the result, the outcome, then I will go to judge. And you as a law student, or a lawyer, must ask this one speak first, you are the first. Why? Why have you not passed on the order? It's your reason. No better. That's kind of reason. You can't ask to be it. You can't ask to meet it. You can't ask questions. Maybe you can get and the military will pick you up. In India, military other things to do. That's all right. So while you have freedom, you must use it now. If you don't use it, you will use it. The minimum, I'm not asking anybody to be a master. I'm not a master. Uncle. I'm saying, do your job, that's all. You might be wrong, and you say you are wrong. Some better answer. So, that's what I call Mark 10. Mark 10. More important to 4 than to 10.
Why did you take up the test?
I can't get up. That is. Any other comment or question? Now, tomorrow we'll do a very tiny bit on justice. We will have the notes that you know the internet, the story and everything. And we will have, for tomorrow, I will religiously follow this. I will speak for about half an hour. The litigation is going to be your area. So how to litigate private things even if you can't try and read some professor that they say in the order of legal litigation and not then you find some time to read one or two subjects on litigation, the rest of the even from actual and then we discuss for whatever we say about what are the litigation strategies to prevent desertification, how can we mount it to such things. Okay? I thought.
Yes, I think I'm